Now, if you happen to get a hay bale or a straw bale set up for your targets, try to get as flat of an area as possible. And to affix a paper target to that, I'm just using a 16 penny nail, and I'm putting them in at an angle so that they don't just fall out. You can also use what are called plastic cap nails. Those are a nail that are used for stucco and roofing. And so you can look at those at the hardware store. Sometimes they have extras they may just give you, or you may have to purchase a little box of those plastic cap nails. You can also use spikes or maybe anything else that you can find around there. But that's how you would attach the target. Okay, so we're here at the range. I've got the recurve bow. This one is ambidextrous. It has a shelf on either side for right and left hand. When you are shooting, you're going to put the arrow on the side of the bow that is toward you. When you put your arrow on the string, there are different colored veins, and the one that is off color is going to go away from the bow but toward you. So you're going to get our stance comfortable, cock that front foot forward. Going to nock an arrow, just set it on the shelf and then nock it right below the nocking bead. Get our string hand set and then our bow hand set. Prepare and then draw back to the anchor point. We want to keep that elbow flat as possible. If you're having trouble keeping the arrow on the shelf, just cant that bow a little bit. Then we're going to squeeze our back muscles and release and shoot. What I may have you do, since I'm not there with you, is if you have a way to film yourself, that is really great. But maybe you can listen to this on your phone or record the steps yourself, write them down how I have them on the archery range here, and talk yourself through those steps, especially the initial shot. Keep that stance, that arrow's nocked. String hand, bow hand. Don't grip the bow too tight. Prepare, draw back to the anchor point, and then shoot. Okay, nock your arrow. Get that on the rest. Get your string hand set, bow hand set. One thing when you're drawing is once you're at full draw, watch my elbow, because my elbow right now is turned in. The string can hit my elbow like that. So I want that elbow turned out, and I want that elbow relaxed, but not relaxed here. I want it just full draw, but relaxed, not here. You don't want to hit your elbow with that string. Okay, so I'm preparing to shoot. I'm aiming at my target. Release. Okay, so really watch that. It hurt really bad. Generally, if you have what's called string slap, and that's when you hit your elbow, your inside of your forearm with the string, it really hurts. It's going to give you a raspberry. You're not going to have to go to the hospital or anything like that. It's kind of like a rug burn. But usually you'll learn the first time if that happens, and you won't do it again. But I have had people who do it continually. If you do continue to do that, get yourself an arm guard, okay? And that arm guard is going to protect that. Additionally, if you're going to shoot a lot of arrows in a day, get yourself some finger taps. But initially, just to start off with, those are things that you don't have to have. They're just things that you might decide on your own that you're going to need. So we want to get our stance, and then we will nock our arrow just below that nocking bead, and then we'll get our draw hand set, and then get that bow hand set, and then pre-draw, we're going to lift the bow toward the target, and then when you're ready, you can draw back to your anchor point. Try to keep your elbow down when you draw back. Look at the target, make sure your anchor point, aim, and then open your fingers and release. Okay, now with the compound bow, it's pretty much the same as with the recurve. There's just more pulleys and wheels, and this is where that draw length again really does matter. And you want to make sure that your bow is in good condition. Inspect it before you start shooting. Make sure there are no cracks or damage to it. If these wheels are bent or warped, then you need to take it into the bow shop and get it repaired. When we get ready, we're going to get our stance just like we did with the recurve. We're going to check our arrow and then we're gonna nock that arrow. For this bow, there's a little wire. That is where your arrow rests. Then we nock it. Hear that click? It goes just below the nocking bead. With a compound bow, you can see the end-to-end length here is a little shorter than with the recurve bow. So you may want to put your fingers 3 under the string, because as I'm at full draw, and never draw a bow without the arrow in there, and especially never release the string without an arrow. So when I draw back here to my anchor point, you can see that this angle here is quite a bit smaller than what it was with that recurve bow. So what will happen is this can cause the string to make your fingers pinch the arrow and causing it to fall off the rest. If your arrow falls off, slowly let down, and then you can get it put back on the rest. I'm going to put 3 below just so I don't pinch that arrow and alter the flight. Then I've got my bow hand. It's still in that V of the bow. Wrap around, not too tight. I'm going to prepare to shoot, pre-draw, just double checking my stance here. And then I'm going to lift, look at the target. I'm going to draw straight back to my anchor point. Don't want my elbow up. I don't want my elbow in. I just want it straight back. And I'm going to aim and then get set up for my shot. Make sure that elbow is turned the right direction. And release. Let's do that again. We're going to analyze our shot. So arrow nocked, fingers on the string, bow hand set, prepare to draw. I'm looking at my target. I'm drawing back to my anchor point. I'm aiming. I'm watching that front elbow. That elbow is faced out. Preparing, tighten my back muscles, and release. And you notice I paused there. I didn't just shoot and drop my bow. You want to keep your bow pointed at the target. What can happen is if you're in such a hurry to drop that bow, you can drop it too early before the arrow has fully released. And it's happening so quickly you may not even notice. But that's why it's better to just keep your bow up and watch that arrow, watch it hit the target. Okay, now let's do this together. Let's shoot this next one. So, stance, nock my arrow, 3, put my string hand set, get my bow hand set, going to watch this elbow, prepare to draw, draw to my anchor point. I want to watch that back elbow, make sure it's not up or down. Get comfortable, set up for my shot, and release. After you've shot, set your bow in a safe place. And then when we come to pull our arrows, we will assess this target, we will analyze it. If you're shooting competition, these are scoring rings, and you would count the score always before you pull the arrows. When you start to compete, somebody can explain to you, whichever league you're in, what scoring they do with the different colors. This is just basic right now, so we're not going too deep into that, but don't pull until it's been scored. Then when you prepare to pull your arrows, you're going to put your hand against the target. Don't pull by the nock or the feathers or vanes. Pull from the shaft of the arrow. So put your hand on the shaft. Make sure nobody's behind you if there's more than one person here. But pull back and out. Check the tip, make sure it's tight, and then we'll pull the next arrow. Okay. If your arrows happen to hit the target and they have scraped or are touching one another, check that arrow, examine it, make sure there's no splits or cracks in there, no damage to the arrow. If there is damage, don't shoot that arrow. It needs to go in the trash.